NCAA sets up. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if a team is going to, to me, a team is either in a conference or they're not. I don't understand this. Well, we'll join this conference for basketball, but then we're going to be independent for football, but we'll still play 5 teams a year from the ACC. And, I mean, just join the ACC if that's what you want to do. I mean, join the ACC. I'm sure they'd love to have you. Nobody's too sorry for the ACC. They'll take anybody. So join the ACC if that's what you want to do. But this crap about, well, we want to play this schedule in basketball and be independent, but we'll play these 5 schools these years, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. They had 2 opportunities to join the Big Ten going all the way back to the early 90s, and then again 10 or 15 years ago they turned it down. They had a chance to join the ACC when all this expansion crap was going on a couple of years ago, or last year, a couple of years ago, and they turned that down. So I don't know what they're doing, but the way college football is set up now, it's an in or an out deal. You either need to be in with the big boys or you need to be out, and Notre Dame needs to make up its mind. It's not 1975. So, they need to do something.
I agree with that. And, of course, we've talked about it before. We actually put them on our schedule for 2017 and 2019. And let's say something comes of this investigation and they lose scholarships. That's going to hurt them. So by the time we play them, they may not even be as good as they are now. I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday, and he went ahead and he just said straight up, well, congratulations on the win in 2017. In a way, he's got a point, because if they're going to have scholarship reductions, that's going to affect their recruiting tremendously, dude, like a lot.
Oh yeah, and that's why you see them coming out now saying, "Oh, we're gonna vacate these wins, and we're gonna suspend these 4 guys, and blah blah blah." Because the way these things work is, first an investigation will be done by the school, and that's what's going on now. Notre Dame will do its own investigation, and then they will self-impose sanctions on themselves, vacated wins, suspending these players, blah, blah, blah. Well, if the NCAA looks at that and says, well, that's not enough, that's when they'll come in and say, okay, we see what you did here, and we see that you vacated these wins, you suspended these players, but we don't feel that's enough, so we're going to take away, a total of 10 scholarships over the next 3 years, or take you off the TV, or, a bowl ban, or whatever punishment they decide to do. So we'll see what the final punishment ends up being for Notre Dame, and then we'll see if the NCAA gets involved, and if they do, what sorts of ramifications come from that. But, it's never good news for these kinds of things to be happening, and Lord knows Georgia's had its own share of problems with suspensions and things like that. So, I definitely don't feel sorry for any school that has to go through it. But it's never a good situation to be in. Here we are a couple of weeks from the start of the season, and instead of talking about, who's on your schedule or, what kind of season Notre Dame might be having, we're talking about who's getting suspended, who's not, who cheated, who didn't, and more importantly, who knew about it. If they find out that this is, that there's somebody within the athletic department that was facilitating, hooking these players up with these tutors that were writing the papers, and that's when you could really see the NCAA come down hard. If it's just an isolated incident where these 4 students on their own got somebody to write these papers for them, then, and Brian Kelly didn't know, the athletic director didn't know, no one in the athletic department knew this was going on, then, they might get off a little more easy. But if it turns out to be some sort of, systemic problem within the football, department itself, then I think you're going to see some long-term punishment doled out by the NCAA. But we'll see.
Yeah, you know what, and I'm right there with you, man. I don't feel sorry for anybody it happens to, because all these guys were sitting here talking trash about us, saying we get in all this trouble. And speaking of trouble, we're not the only school that's going around assaulting girlfriends. This past week you had Oklahoma, that Nixon character, and he's sitting there assaulting his girlfriend, apparently broke some bones in her face or something like that. And there again, we've done that ourselves, but you've got people that are talking trash about us, and guess what? It happens to them. And they, you were telling me before the show that they haven't even cleared that Beckham Green character who like assaulted his girlfriend or something like that at Missouri. So it seems to me that we're not the only thugs out there.
No, and when we talked about this, I think it was on our first show when we had the a whole discussion about the problems that have been that have gone on at Georgia in the off season with the dismissals and suspensions and different things like this. We said, we're not happy that this is happening at Georgia, but people need to keep in mind this isn't something that only happens at Georgia. This happens at every campus, at every college in America, inside and outside of the football department. Now, whether you hear about it or not, or how much you hear about it or don't hear about it, that's a different story. Every athletic department handles these things differently. We talked before, but there is no guideline there's no NCAA rule that says if you push your girlfriend down a flight of stairs, you're suspended for 2 games. There's no rule book. It's up to each individual coach, athletic director, and athletic department what sorts of punishments gets handed out in these situations. So, but I do know this, never been any NCAA violations at UGA under Mark Richt. So, we have our fair share of problems, but, he handles it the right way. He doles out punishment that needs to be handed out, and the NCAA stays out of Georgia's way. And I'd much rather lose a few players of suspension than have what's going on at Notre Dame, which is going to be a bunch of NCAA investigators, nosing around.
Oh, definitely. As a matter of fact, UGA's been in a lot of trouble in the past, but here's an interesting stat. I don't believe UGA has ever been put on probation for anything. So for all the trouble they've been in, they've always taken care of things themselves, whether it be dismissing them from the team, taking care of things themselves, and I've never heard of UGA being put on probation. I think we're one of the few schools that can actually say that. And as far as what happened with that Nixon kid, at most I'm guessing he's going to probably get a few games, suspension, something like that. I don't think he's going to get kicked off the team. He's actually going to be one of their main guys. This guy was like a huge recruit, so they're not going to kick him off the team for the first incident, but I do see possibly, some games where he's going to be suspended, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't remember us being on probation either. And before anybody's about to say anything about certain players getting any type of special treatment or anything like that, one of the best players to ever come through the University of Georgia, A.J. Green, sat out almost half a season for autographing a jersey. So it doesn't matter who you are. If you get caught doing wrong at UGA, you're going to get punished, period.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking, I hate talking about this kind of stuff because we never want to see it happen, but our fullback, Merritt Hall, you actually informed me, was it just yesterday or the day before, that he's going to no longer be playing football due to concussions, so he's having to hang up his cleats. He's definitely a good fullback, no doubt about it, but it's just sad to see somebody's career end because of injuries, man. I hate, especially when it's at UGA. You hate to see that.
It is. Merritt Hall, who was slated to be one of the starting fullbacks this year, a junior. But the UGA's team doctor or medical staff medically disqualified him from any more football ever at UGA for just multiple concussions. And it is sad. I mean, you hate to see that. You hate to hear that. I don't know a lot about Merritt Hall personally, but I'm sure he's a great guy, great kid. And, no matter if it's Georgia or anybody else, we rag on a lot of teams. But, I mean, this is the one thing you never want to see for anybody is any type of career-ending injury. I mean, it's just, it's heartbreaking. He's, in this case, this kid's, he's a junior. He's probably 20, 21, 22 years old. And for the last 15 years, his dream's been to play football, and to be told that you can't do that anymore, it's just got to be devastating. And I don't wish that on anybody from any team. It's just awful.
Yeah, but in a way, I guess you could call it good news, because I know we were talking a few days ago when you were telling me that more than likely they were going to hold Malcolm Mitchell out of the first game. Well, I just happened to read in the paper while I was at work last night that they're not even saying whether or not he's going to be playing now. Apparently, Rick made the statement they don't know if he's going to play or not going to play. So I guess maybe they upgraded his status to uncertain. So that's the official word right now. Is they're I don't know if they're doing this on purpose or not, but they're really not letting it be known whether or not he's going to play or not. So
yeah, and Coach Rick, a couple of weeks ago, when this first came out with Malcolm Mitchell, at one of the post practice press conferences that Coach Rick was given, he actually mentioned that starting this year, he is changing his policy on how they report injuries to the media. So I'm not exactly sure what their official policy was before and what their official policy is going to be now. But I know before they were pretty much an open book about injuries and, how long they expected people to be out, and were they out for the season? Was it, was it looking like one game? Was it looking like, 5 weeks? And, they're not required to release, any of that type of stuff. And for whatever reason, Coach Rick has decided to kind of rein some of that stuff in. I'm sure for a lot of it is for strategic reasons. You want Clemson's defense to be preparing to stop Malcolm Mitchell, whether he ends up playing or not. Why give away that information to the opponent if you don't have to? So I think you're going to see a lot of this, not just on Malcolm Mitchell, but on some other guys too. A lot less information is going to come out about some of these nagging injuries.
Yeah, that's one thing I was actually thinking about, because the only reason I can think of they would do it, would probably be to throw off some of their competition. Because, think about it. If you're the opposing coach and you don't know for sure if somebody's going to be play or not, granted, you're probably going to be practicing as if he's going to play, but still, not knowing for sure if he's going to be on the field. That's gotta mess with you. If I'm the opposing coach, I would want to know. But I can see why Mark Richt would do that. And if that's what they want to do, I have no problems with it. I just want Malcolm Mitchell to play. that's
me too. I've been wanting him to play for 3 years. So this is another story here where you just feel bad for the kid. He can't stay on the field. It's just injury after injury, and to hear everybody talk, from his high school coaches all the way up through the coaches at UGA and the other players at UGA, he's probably, one of the most athletic players on the team. He can play 2 or 3 different positions. He's fast, a good size, smart, but for whatever reason, he just can't escape the injury bug, and it just seems to go from one thing to the next with him. But I'd love to see him get out on the field and, let him loose for a season, and let's see what he can do. And hopefully we'll get to see that. Time will tell.
Yeah, and, as far as the rest of the injuries are concerned, from what I'm hearing is Keith Marshall and Justin Scott Wesley, they're going to be a go for week 1. That's what I'm hearing. I've checked several sites. I've read, the local newspapers here. And from what I'm reading is they're expected to be ready to go on week 1, and that's going to be a positive. Having our good receivers and having Keith Marshall out there. Against Clemson, that's going to be a bonus. It's just going to suck. Not seeing Merritt Hall play. But you can't help those kinds of things. But we've always got the dump truck Quavon Hicks, who will be spending time at fullback and tight end. So. He's gonna make his presence known.
Yeah, you hate to lose anybody, like we said, with Merritt Hall, and I hate to denigrate anybody on our team, but Merritt Hall wasn't somebody that was going to go out and get even 4 or 5 carries a game. That's just not. He's a junior. He's had 2 or 3 carries total his career at UGA. So he was more of a blocking style fullback. He wasn't really a runner. So oh, we're going to miss him, but I don't think it's necessarily something that can't be replaced.